모든 건 변했다. 히트 시즌2.
Welcome back to Pro League with Tasos and Valdez. CJ is doing it, at least starting to do it.
Yeah, they're getting the ball rolling. They used their hero, and he did hero things, defeated Rogue there. Not what any of us expected. And in the past, it was always Hero and ByuL that were the ace players here for CJ Entus, but ByuL really hasn't been doing too well.
I gotta
Hero
say, though,
as well.
If there's someone who's going to lose, at least lately, for Jenner, it is Rogue. Okay, I know he's had some great games, guys, but he's actually had some poor games as well.
He doesn't have the best, like well, I don't know. I mean, he's 10-4, maybe now 10-5,
but he has had some bumpy games in the past. Throughout this year, I mean,
he's one of those players.
Downs, you know?
One of those players where some days he looks amazing.
Yeah,
he defeats Cess and makes it look easy, and then another day we're like, this isn't the Rogue that we expected. It's part of the reason why I think it was Artosis who predicted him to become one of the best Zergs, if not the best Zerg in the world. And then he just kind of never quite gained that title. He was always overshadowed by more
ByuL here too.
Consistent Zergs.
ByuL's a great Zerg, but he's had moments where he's like the best Zerg that there is, and then moments where he's been having a hard time. Now SOS he's the guy. You know how everybody's watching, they all want to be the guy. They're like, I like Starcraft, I want to be the guy. Well, SOS is the guy, okay? He has these builds that are just futuristic. It is really hard for these players to prepare against SOS. I'd say SOS's greatest strength, though, is in a long series.
Yeah.
First to 3 wins, first to 4 wins. I think that's really where he shines.
He is the BlizzCon champion twice.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely saying something.
Yeah.
And he's won a lot of money in this. Interesting that we have 2 votes here for ByuL. I thought this was going to be the one that was going to be completely one-sided and not Hero versus Rogue.
Definitely don't expect ByuL to take this one. As you can see, the foreign casters are all on the same page here, going for SOS.
Nice foreigners stick together. And I believe we're going to go right into this game. So get ready. SOS versus ByuL. Okay, let's do this. In the bottom left, it's SOS in the green. Fitting color.
Makes sense.
Yeah. In the bottom right, in the yellow, it's ByuL.
And CJ Entus has, CJ in general, has yellow in the logo, so it makes sense.
So let's see what SOS does. This is a weird map. And I think that makes it kind of scary if you're against SOS, because SOS, I mean, excuse me, because I've been casting SOS forever now. He's one of these players that just seems to get the game on this really, really deep level.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we have a new map, it's SOS who just looks at the map and sees the build before everybody else. Now, that might not be the absolute perfect build to do on that map, if you wait 2 months and everybody's been playing on it, but when he comes out, it's usually the build that people can't beat. And that's why I'm really curious to see how he's going to play this. The other thing about SOS is, if you've ever, seen, his replays, for instance, he actually makes some mistakes here and there. He's not, Innovation kind of doesn't miss a beat. I mean, that's kind of why people joke about him being sort of like AlphaGo or this,
He's a robot.
SOS makes mistakes, but they're very subtle, right? I mean, he is, possibly one of the great, well, he is definitely one of the greatest StarCraft players of all time, but, a lot of times when he's, throughout the year, he's probably the best player that there is. But he just seems to get it. He seems to just really understand how the units interact with each other.
Yeah.
When to attack, when to proxy. He's a really fascinating player to play. I mean, out of all the Protosses I've ever casted, SOS is by far my favorite. He just really has his deep play. I mean, he was the guy abusing split map better than any other Protoss could. Like, way ahead of everybody.
He's really channeling his inner Protoss, you know. We joke about him being an alien. He's kind of got this futuristic alien vibe around him where he just understands it better than anyone else.
Yeah, he's like a time traveler. Like, a lot of times the strats he's doing are just, like, totally cutting edge.
Yeah.
You know?
Or ahead, even. It's just like...
Yeah. Well, it's funny, too, because there's nobody that's quite doing it like that. Like, you know, like, Zest is like, he's playing modern Protoss, and he does it, like, perfectly. And that's why a lot of people say he's the best. But if you really just look at the way SOS approaches the game, it's kind of terrifying. And by the way, you know, whenever BlizzCon comes around, guess who seems to have the game mapped out the best?
Yeah, it's SOS.
It's SOS, you know? It's a pretty incredible thing. So I'm really curious to see what SOS does on this map. Does he play a really standard game? Does he do something tricky? This is a very large map, and just looking at the architecture of it, it seems like it's a map that you really can't attack across for a while.
I was thinking maybe he was going to go air and begin to take the islands, but I mean, we saw stats do that to SOS. Obviously, a different matchup, but
well, we've been
not going to go for it
for a while. You know, to have islands kind of become part of StarCraft 2. And it just seems like, due to some of the ways that you can engage. In StarCraft 1, there were islands that were used a lot more, but you basically didn't have people. I mean, there was a unit similar to the medevac in StarCraft 1 that was like dropship, but you kind of didn't make like 5 or 6 of them and fly around the map. It just wasn't the way the game worked. So because of that drop, I mean, islands had a lot more viability. If you look at like this matchup, it's very easy if Terran spots an island and to pick up everything and drop on it. And it's very easy for Protoss to land a Warp Prism over there and suddenly warp in like 8 Adepts and just take the island.
Ooh.
So, okay, DTs. Cool. Let's do this.
Oh, the Overlord is going to get in, though. And he is going to scout this immediately.
Now, okay, because it's SOS, I want to know, does he cancel this or does he let this finish and not go DTs? Because this is why SOS is so good.
He just started it. I would actually like to see him cancel it.
Well, you
personally,
know, he might let it finish. Wow, he actually got it. Nicely done. He might let it finish and not use it, or he may. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can take it. Okay, see, that's what I was talking about. So he's gonna let the thing finish, but he's making 2 Stargates now.
Here we go.
And because he had to get a Warp Prism because he was going for DTs, he just takes an island. Now I wonder also, maybe he was gonna do this all along. I don't know.
And pressure with the DTs into air toss, perhaps.
Maybe. As you guys can see, it's not a clean island that you can hit from any angle. It's actually kind of boxed in, which I think is a good touch, by the way, on this map. I haven't really been able to talk about this whenever I cast on this map, but
I mean, it makes it a lot easier to take the island, right? It's easier to defend. You can set up cannons. You can place buildings there, even if you don't want people to drop right there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, I believe, okay, he is going to make 1 DT. I was curious to see, is he going to make any DTs at all and just try to poke around and keep Zerg on his toes? Now, because Protoss has the island, let's assume for a second, guys, because we're still early on in this, let's just assume that Zerg can't retake it. Now, Zerg does know, so there's a higher chance Zerg will try to retake it. But let's say that Zerg can't. This means that Protoss actually has a really accessible 4th base.
Yeah,
the center left is like easy peasy to take.
It's right there. He could even consider taking the other island because, you know, even though it's very close, it's very close to the Zerg, but if the Zerg doesn't go for air, even if he does try to go mutas, you know, you're going to have so many Phoenixes out, you're going double Stargate, there's no way that they're really going to be able to drop or get anything over there.
Yeah, I mean, you do make a good point. I mean, if they're going to try to fight the Phoenixes air to air, you can't do that with mutas, you can't do that with anything that can hit the ground. So, I mean, initially I was kind of like pulling back from what you said, but I think you might be right. But I don't know. You know, then again, it's SOS, right? I mean, he does so many weird strats. What is happening? That was not... Those Phoenixes were supposed to get that Overlord, I think.
Yeah, the Phoenixes got caught in the recall, it looks like.
Yeah.
But he does recall a bunch of those probes over to the base, get them mining. I think Stats yesterday used the Warp Prism, but SOS wants to be a bit more tricky. It's just the kind of guy he is.
Now, see, this is why SOS is so cool. Now, see that one Archon there is not going away. All right, that is the bouncer.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bridge
let me tell
bouncer.
you something. These Zerglings are going to try to come through, and he's going to be like, "You can't wear sandals in the club." the Lings are going to be like,
feelers in the Protoss base.
Come on, dude.
Yeah. Like hopping around like, what's up, man?
But let me tell you something. That Archon is a douchebag bouncer, and nobody's having fun tonight. Nobody gets through there, okay?
He's really
even
big,
Tasteless,
too.
who normally gets to cut the line because he's so cool. No, that's that. Now look at this. He comes in here. He's going to shave off whatever he can. Gets out. SOS. You and your big sexy brain. Look at this. Okay, now he pushes.
He's got charge, but there are a lot of Hydras already out on the map, and 12 more were just made.
The beauty of this is with this aggression, the island is safe. Zerg actually can't attack that island as well. God, I just love casting SOS's games, man. I mean, this is just so cool.
Yeah. He's got to be careful not to go too far away from that Warp Prism, but here we go.
Okay, he's coming in. Now note he's going to try to get the Hydras here. The Lynx have almost been staved off, which means the Zealots are going to start going ham on the Lynx, on the Hydras here. Oh, no, wait, no, there's not enough. I think Zerg holds this, no problem.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so what SOS was doing was smart, but the more basic approach here by ByuL is actually paying off. Now, ByuL has a window for a timing counterattack. Actually, maybe, no, he doesn't, because there's nowhere he can really attack comfortably. Sorry, guys, this is like a weird game to cast because they got an island here, so I have to keep...
Also a newer map, too. It is a pretty long rush distance to get over there, even with the bridge.
Even with the pathing in StarCraft 2, the Phoenix is going to get stuck there. That's funny.
Yeah. I think what SOS should have done is make another Warp Prism, control the skies, don't let him get any vision, and drop the 4th base, try to kill that, go into the main, drop there, support with the Phoenixes, you know, warp in a bunch of adepts. That's the kind of, you know, I think that would have been a much better approach. Instead, he kind of... I don't know if he freaked out or if he was just like, oh, maybe he thought he was farther ahead than he actually was. And he was like, no, I can just kill him. But actually, he just lost everything.
Well, it's funny, too, because if you get the island and you're doing this style of play, like, I thought the Archon alone was pretty cool. I didn't think he was going to push, but then he did. And then I'm like, I got such a man crush on SOS's playstyle. I'm like, oh, my God, it's going to work. But then it didn't. But this is a problem up here. There is, like, not quite enough. The Immortal's handy, but there's still a good amount of Hydras here. Now, okay, that's what you want to do. Get the Cybernetics core. That gives you access in here. But also, you can't make Stalkers and other range units try to help you. Tough call here for ByuL. Looks like he might have to back off. I don't see any reinforcements coming here. Now, there's something happening in the upper right. I can't see what it is, but there's something happening on the mini-map. So we'll find out what that is in a little bit here.
Mass lift, and he's killing a lot of these Hydras now. Does he have enough, though? They all dropped out. Wow.
That's a tough call, right? He at that point in time, he decides I have to lift up with pretty much everything because my ground army is a little bit limited. And he's going to take out these Hydras. This is a really great player by SOS. Now, I wonder if he's going to try to expand to the upper left. I think with the supply count here, Zerg is actually a little bit too tough to try to move out on the map, but let's go ahead and wait and see.
This is the other reason why the island works, is because your natural is so easily defended. We saw the same thing from Stats, where he's just like, no, I can just make a wall and like 4 pylons and a couple of cannons, and you're never, ever, ever getting up my ramp. SOS was so far behind in terms of army supply there. Now, obviously, a lot of it was roaches, but just the cannons, or rather the pylon cannons, the overcharges, the one immortal that was safe for the entire fight.
Now,
that's all he needed.
Now hold up, this might be enough to break it. Zerg got to that point where they can suddenly like scale up the max like crazy fast, and this might just be too much. Now there's actually 4 immortals down. Oh no, there's 5 total. Okay, there it is. It's coming up by the player screen.
He has too many immortals at this point, you know. As long as he continues to build more pylons and make sure he's overcharging that, it's going to be very, very hard.
Oh, this is a great play, assuming that you actually use those units. Okay, I was going to pick up the Hydras there. Okay, he's coming in now. 1 immortal being kited back.
Phoenix Immortal isn't enough here. The lifts on the Hydras and more Zealots coming down. Very, very hard holds here for SOS. I'm not sure he's going to be able to.
Yeah, he needs to keep picking up the Hydras. The Immortals can kind of fight the Roaches. But I think, the problem is Hydras just do so much damage. I mean, we got SOS hanging on by a thread here.
Literally by a thread. Not enough.
Yeah, okay, so that strat that SOS did was cool, but he should not have attacked those Zealots in the Archon. SOS, but you see what I'm saying, right? Like, the idea, the overall idea is good, but he hasn't quite mapped out that portion. But ByuL, sticking to his roots, just, very basic Zerg defense. Protoss makes a mistake, and Zerg exploits it. Eventually, he was able to just hammer his way through, and this match has been turned on its head, Valdez. Right now, CJ is 1 win away from taking down the Jin Air Wings.
And this is insanity. I mean, Jin Air just played against KT yesterday, and won in an ace match, and now they're having trouble here against a kind of broken CJ team. And now the last map is Trap versus Bunny, and Trap has a downwards arrow for a reason. He is not doing all that well nowadays. And on Frost, I mean, I don't know, Bunny definitely has a very good chance here, especially with this momentum, to take this one and give CJ the win.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a funny situation here, right? I did not expect for the game to rest on Trap's shoulders. I thought Trap was just going to be like, okay, Trap, maybe you can take this. Good luck. The rest of the players should have this. This is probably the best matchup to put you in Trap. But like a player like SOS is supposed to win. Frankly, I think he was supposed to win that game with that attack, which was a little bit foolish.
Yeah.
But, let's see what happens. Bunny is a great player. I think he definitely can take down Trap. But if I had to pick somebody to win, I would go with Trap.
Yeah, I voted for Trap. I'm not sure what you voted for, Tasteless, but
I voted for everybody on Junior. I thought it was going to be a 3-0.
Actually, no, actually. Yeah, me and you actually did the same thing where we just wrote in the chat. We're like SKT Junior.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be 2 3-0s, but not the case so far. So we're going to have to see what exactly Trap's going to have in store for us. Now, earlier in the year, I forget which interview it was exactly, but Trap was saying that he still feels like he hasn't developed as the top player that he could be just yet.
Yeah.
He's a lot of times a little bit too conservative. We've definitely had games where Trap gets ahead and doesn't attack, which is not necessarily wrong.
Yeah, I mean, we saw SOS was ahead there and he attacked and lost his whole army.
Yeah, there you go. You know, in the words that Artosis has used, which I think are probably the best phrase that he's ever said, you can generalize, is when you're ahead, what are you supposed to do? You just keep getting more ahead. A lot of times, if you're in the lead in a game, that's the other guy's problem.
Yeah.
Okay. One mistake.
He needs to do something. He needs to like attack or harass or somehow get himself ahead.
Right. And if you follow that general rule for StarCraft 2, what you'll see is that because you're ahead, all you have to do is keep up with upgrades, keep making stuff. Because a lot of players will get a lead and then they just attack. And I've seen even like Grandmaster players who are really good just attack. And it's like 3 base versus 3 base and there's no rhyme or reason to it.